Hello. I hope everybody's been doing well. It's been quite some time since we've been face to face with each other. So I hope everybody has had a blessed week and everything's been going smoothly. Hear me speak and share this with others, for the elite of our society are no longer hiding their corrupt and antichrist agenda. With rapid social and school implementations, not only are they forcing the trans agenda onto everyone, but they are forcing it on other countries as well. Look, I have no resentment or hate towards trans individuals. I've met some pretty interesting people from that community, and I love them just like I would love any other brother or sister. So get that out of your head. I do not have eyes to judge, and I do not have ears to gossip. I have eyes to see, and I have ears to hear.
十分近づくがよい。私の仲間にしてやろう。怖がらなくてもいいじゃないか。私に永遠に仕えない。
The issue at hand is that the enemy is specifically targeting and trying to condition kids into being confused about their gender identity, since abortions did not become normalized as expected. Now, remember when the Satanic Temple tried to use the First Amendment technicalities to legally have abortions and welcomed everybody with open arms that was trying to kill the baby? No, I'm the only one that remembers that. Let's take a look at it real quick. So now they want to claim that abortion should be legal because it is a part of a religious right to practice their rituals. But what ritual do they have that correlates with abortion? This is a very antichrist agenda, as you can see. You can't make this up. This is straight Moloch energy. No, not a mullet, Moloch. It is an ancient pagan sacrificial god that requires babies to pass through the fire in order to gain prosperity. The ritual requires babies to be served as burnt offerings to Moloch, and they did this by placing the baby in a bull humanoid-like altar and placed it in the stomach area or the womb. What? Does it actually say that in the Bible? Let's see. Let's ask Bob. What does the book of Leviticus say about this?
さすがホルホース。ゾンビ犬でも合成してみるか。
But why babies? Why babies specific? You would think that they would want their babies to grow up so that their lineage may continue and prosper. After all, the sacrifices were for prosperity, right? What a lot of people fail to take into consideration is that at that specific time in history, there was a lot of prophecies about prophets and a Messiah being born, which is why they sacrificed babies specifically. They did this with the means of making those prophecies not come true. But they told everybody it was under the cause of prosperity. This is why children are being targeted today under that same cause of social prosperity. We are seeing biblical prophecies come to fruition today in our society. The love of the world has grown cold, and everybody is running to their false teachers that justify their false doctrines. Society teaches love is love or whatever you want. Doesn't matter what sex or age. So now that the kids made it past birth, what do you think the enemy is going to try to do? The only thing he can do, which is to confuse them and to try to mentally and physically tarnish them. Again, ask yourself, why such an intense push on kids specifically as of recent? Why, when logically they do not have the mental capabilities to even understand the concepts of sociology, psychology, and identity? Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that kids are stupid. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that children have not fully developed their mind to be able to truly understand at a deep level what these topics are all about. And this development of the brain can't be forced. That would be to go against nature and biology. Remember, the enemy came not only to kill and destroy, but to what? To divide and conquer through confusion. Just take a look at the tragic example of Chris Tyson from the Mr. Beast YouTube channel. They have a large audience that mostly consists of young adolescent teens. And what platform do you think Chris was using to try to push his ideology? Unfortunately, his family was scrutinized and divided because of his decision.
We are like a legion, we are one, we are many.
He had a wife and has a child of 4 years old. Because of his confusion, it has led to the downfall of his mental state and his social image as a father. Now, Mr. Tyson's child, unfortunately, is going to be very confused growing up, wondering why daddy became mommy out of the blue, and this child is potentially going to go down the rabbit hole of that confusion. That's just a specific instance, Saban. That's not some sort of agenda. Okay. Fine, let's take it to the law sector in Washington State. Let's take it over there. They're trying to pass a bill called Senate Bill 5599. Maybe you heard of it, maybe you haven't. But this bill has been very notorious around the news as of recent. With the news being all over the place and sources being so convoluted, it's kind of hard to tell what the real truth is with this, so I decided to take a look at the document myself directly from the website. This bill allows a minor to run away from home, and the agency or shelter does not have to report that to their parents if they have a compelling reason. Now, what is a compelling reason? Why don't we take a look? When there's evidence of abuse or neglect. Okay, cool. When a minor is seeking or receiving protected healthcare services. All right, so like general checkups and that sort of stuff, right? Let's see. Hold on, Wiz. Protected healthcare service means gender-affirming treatment or reproductive services. Oh. Wait a minute. What? So now, you have to be 21 to drink and to smoke, but a 10-year-old can run away from home, claim neglect, and get an abortion or hormone replacement therapy. Make it make sense. With all the drastic events that are happening in today's society and world, really, it's very evident to see that something in the atmosphere has shifted. These kids were already being targeted at the womb when that whole abortion movement came and went a year or two ago. Now, the new chant is, let children decide what their sexual identity is. Blah, 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 blah. Gender identity, let them decide whatever. No, man, that's not right. And guess what? These kids are easy prey because kids are what? Easy to manipulate. Why do you think they're trying to implement these false doctrines into school curriculums? Our own government, our local and national governments are all on this agenda to try to push this false doctrine of do whatever you want onto the kids. The trusty gender unicorn is what's going to teach our kids what truth and morality is. A very, very reliable source. So then it comes to no surprise that these individuals see these kids as easy prey to push their agenda onto society. Did you know that gender-confused youth is 33 times more likely to commit suicide? I ain't making this up. It says it in the bill right there, Bill 5599. Take a look. 1 in 3 transgender youth try committing suicide. Did you also know that 80 to 95% of these troubled youth actually end up accepting their biological gender by the age of 14 through 16. Take a look at that. So if the enemy can cause your child to harm themselves before that specific age range, then that child is more likely to end their life before getting to an age where they could truly and fully understand their identity. This is why it is so important for followers of Jesus to not be hateful or resentful or judgmental. Would you listen to someone who's just condemning and yelling at you? I know I wouldn't. A lot of followers feel the need to play judge because they feel they know better. Listen, we just know the truth because Jesus gave us the truth. We ain't do nothing on our own. We ain't do nothing special. We are no better or more important than even the people that disagree with Jesus. Nobody's above anybody. Now, this does not mean that I will compromise my morality and truth. What this means is that we could disagree, be civil, challenge, and edify ourselves in the pursuit of the real truth, but never act in judgment or resentment or hate towards one another. So, brothers and sisters, do not slander one another. Anyone who speaks against a brother or sister or judges them speaks against the law and sits in judgment on it. When you judge the law, you are not a keeper of the law, but a judge. There is only one lawgiver, one judge, the one who can save and destroy. So you, that guy, who are you to judge somebody else? Who are you to judge your neighbor? It is not our place as followers of Christ to be holier than thou or whatever. It is not our place to judge. There is only one judge, and he is holier than all of us if you really want to be like that. Instead, it is our place to show compassion and love towards one another and teach each other to do the same in a world full of confusion and hate. Families need to bring back absolute truth to the table. If a person is expressing sexual or identity confusion, we should not reject them, but show them love and bring them understanding. We should hear them so they do not feel invalidated. That doesn't mean accept reality as what you're saying. That means accept that that is how you feel and help you address that. It's okay for a male to have some feminine traits and vice versa. Think about King David. most of his time was spent singing and playing the harp. Now, back then, would you consider that as manly traits? Absolutely not. In the book of Judges, there was a great military leader by the name of Deborah. Super successful military leader. Would you say that that is woman-like for a woman at that time? Most certainly not. But you know what's special about them is they did not start identifying as a different gender because of these characteristics. It actually made them more unique because of that. They were more unique through God because they decided to express themselves truly and stay in their lane. Remember, the enemy just wants to divide and conquer and kill this generation because he knows that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Teens are the most confused during puberty about their sexuality. So why not take the advantage and condition them beforehand? It is too easy for them now. The kids want to be woke and we let them get consumed by confusion. It's quite tragic. When the teens go through their phases of puberty and confusion, they're just gonna go based off of what they were taught by Mr. Gender Unicorn back when they was little. And then they're going to make the radical decision of changing genders and then probably change their mind a few years afterwards. All of this because of these very, very illogical and false doctrines that our society is trying to push. This is all part of the Antichrist agenda brought to you by your friendly neighborhood, local government, and media. Look, I'm gonna up you one. Let me give you a bonus fact. Did you know that our current administration last year tried to pass a bill where they replaced the word mother with birthing people to try to be more inclusive of transgender women? So now are we just gonna start discrediting mothers and start denying biology and just completely disrespect all females? Is that what we're gonna start doing now? That's tough. We cannot allow the continuation of the normalization of these illogical doctrines. We must teach our youth at a young age how to discern absolute truth from relative truth. Absolute truth is truth that doesn't change. It is consistent and sound with no logical fallacies. As for relative truth, it is truth based on each individual's perspective and emotions on science and morality. So to say that morality is relative is to say that my truth is my truth and there's nothing you can say about it. A cat is a tree, a person is an Apache helicopter, and pedophilia is socially acceptable. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's my truth, and that's my truth. Who are you to oppress my First Amendment religious right? See where this is going? This is my religious belief, and if you don't agree, you're oppressing me and my First Amendment rights, you bigot. Please make this make sense. If we allow this to continue, it will not stop at just gender identity, just so you are aware. The next step is not only identifying as a different gender, but now identifying as a different age as well. Oh, you don't believe me? Perfect example. Take a look at Lil Uzi. Oh, my bad. Leslie, the 14-year-old girl that just came out as trans. This 30-year-old man truly wants to normalize this and normalize pedophilia. Oh, but you're just being a judgmental Christian. No one's trying to normalize pedophilia. Oh, really? My apologies. This must be one of those specific instances that keep happening all over the place. It seems to be happening quite frequently, if I'm being quite honest. If pedophilia is not the next step in the way our society is headed, then explain this specific instance that happened in Churchill High School in Oregon, where a teacher gave a sexual fantasy assignment to his sexual education class, specifically students who were absent. Now, let's take a look at this assignment. Let's see what this assignment had to say. For those students who were absent, you will write a short story of a paragraph or two. This story is a sexual fantasy that will have no penetration. Oh, good. I'm so glad that they didn't include penetration in that one. Oh, I don't think my heart could have taken it. No penetration of any kind or oral sex. No way of passing an STI. You will choose 3 items: romantic music, candles, massage oil, feather boa, flavored syrup, to use in your story. Your story should show that you can show and receive loving physical affection without having sex. Quite the nefarious assignment, if you ask me. Now, fair warning, this class consisted of 12-year-olds. This is part of Oregon's Our Own Lives sexual education curriculum that they just added recently, or better known as the OWL curriculum. Now, the school board proclaims that they knew nothing about the OWL being implemented into their curriculum, and they just were clueless. They were blind. So you tell me they just let that slip in there by accident? You mean to tell me that a board of 10 to 12 highly educated individuals came to a meeting, sat down for multiple hours and discussed this, and not one of those individuals noticed OWL in the curriculum? I will admit that is very difficult to believe. What's truly sad, though, is knowing that these 10 to 12 highly educated individuals did go and sit down in a meeting and did discuss for multiple hours, and the conclusion was, maybe adding this to the curriculum is a good idea. And now they're trying to damage control everything, and if you ask me, quite unsubtly. The teacher didn't even get fired. Oh, look at that. They're on temporary leave. And they're not even getting investigated by the government. They're getting investigated by a third-party company. And nobody's heard anything about it since March 20th. You can't tell me that they're not in cahoots with the devil. This is very evident. This is an agenda. Now, who proposed this curriculum to the Oregon local authorities, you may ask? You can send your thank you letters to the Unitarian Universalist Association of Oregon. This is another one of those New Age churches that's going to want to start practicing their religious beliefs under the clause of the First Amendment rights to practice religious beliefs. Now, this all makes sense. This is a spiritual war, for we do not wrestle against flesh, but against principalities and powers, highly influential spirits. The normalization of these twisted and illogical and immoral doctrines is something that the Bible warns us about in the end times of society. The rise of the modern society of Babel. Babel, why Babel? What is Babel? Babel is Hebrew for confusion. And history repeats itself. Lucifer fell from heaven because of pride. Now let me ask you this. What flag is associated with pride? Those who have eyes, let them see. For God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. And as my homie J. Cole once said, pride is the devil. You think it's got a hold on you? I'll keep in touch to bring some more wisdom and knowledge.